Dear viewers, talking more about the Palestinian issue, I'm delighted to interview over the phone Mr. Ambassador Gamal Baioumy, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Good afternoon, Mr. Ambassador. Mr. Ambassador, good afternoon.
Hello.
Hello, how are you, Mr. Ambassador?
How are you?
First of all, I'm delighted to interview you in this episode of Arab Affairs, and of course, as you have been following what's going on in Gaza and in the occupied Palestine, my question to you is, what are the reasons behind Israel's will to extend the first phase of the ceasefire agreement and not start the second phase?
I am always optimistic, but here I am reserved to be optimistic because we are dealing with people who are unpredictable at all. And we know in advance that the Prime Minister of Israel is against stopping the war, because if he stops the war, he will be requested by the jail in his own country. He is requested for to be judged there. He is requested by the International Court of Law, the International Court of Crimes also. So he wants to continue this silly war, silly aggression, in order to keep himself out of jail. Another partner who is encouraging him is the United States of America, especially under the new president. The third is armament industry. If we stop the war, how they can sell another $80 billion of armaments which was sold during this silly war. So expect what is not expected, and we have to watch and see. But I am really optimistic on one thing, that the Palestinian stand against aggression is very good. The Palestinians stick to their own land. If they stick to their own land, nobody can take them away from their own country.
But to what extent do you expect, Mr. Ambassador, that Palestinians would survive more harsh circumstances and impossible conditions of living in this advanced phase of the situation?
It seems that up till now they were good at, in all means, in resisting this aggression, and they stick to their own country. On the contrary, now we have Jewish migrants from Israel to their own land. 500,000 Israelis left the country because it's not any time the paradise they were seeking. So if we stick to the resistance, the Palestinian resistance, and stay in our land, whatever the sacrifice is, one day Israel will be a minority in this country, and the Palestinian will be a majority afterwards.
Of course, we hope so. We have high hopes in this regard, but also there are talks regarding putting pressure on Israel to start the second phase. In my question to you, Mr. Ambassador, who is going to put this pressure? If it's the American administration, so what are the benefits of the American administration to put this pressure on Israel to start the second phase?
No, I am not optimistic here. American presidency will never put pressure on Israel. Israel is the arm of the whole NATO idea of inserting Israel within the Arab world to divide us between Maghreb and Mashriq. And it is a soldier in the area. So I do not expect any encouragement in the United States to stop the war. On the contrary at all, on the contrary all the time.
Yes. And also, Mr. Ambassador, what do you think the Arab leaders or the Arab countries should do or cooperate in this regard in order to prevent any obstacles in the upcoming negotiations to complete the ceasefire deal?
This is what we are doing now. In a couple of days we shall have the Arab summit here in Cairo. And this is a story of success, because if they agree to meet, this is one point of success. If they agree on the agenda, another point. If they agree about the declaration of the meeting, and it is already prepared, this is another thing. And at the end of the day, I think that the Arab Summit, will send a big no to the proposals of President Trump.
Yes.
And he reads the message quite well, and he started to withdraw from his ideas, which were really very strange. So I expect that this summit, with a big no, it is enough. But as once President Sadat said, we are not going to fight against the United States at all.
Yes. And also, Mr. Ambassador, there are some statements that are bold coming from the Israeli government that are threatening the Palestinians of continuing the war again in Gaza Strip. How did you follow these statements, and what do you think should be done in this regard, especially these recent statements?
This is what I expected, because I do not expect this government, this very rightist government, and it's composed of some ignorant members. I do not expect that they will stop the war. But we have this Arab Summit. We go all the time to the United Nations. We have 154 countries voted with a Palestinian state and to stop the war. In the Security Council, it was another victory where from 15 member states, 14 voted with us, and only the United States stopped it. And I don't know how the United States can accept this situation for its repetition.
Yes.
So we shall knock on all the doors, also with the African Union, who the African Union is supporting the Palestinian question and making of the Palestinian Liberation Organization as a member there, while Palestine is not in Africa. And
yes.
The European Union is not very bad. What declared in the last few days from the Chancellor of Germany or the President of France is also encouraging to our case.
Yes. Of course. And also, Mr. Ambassador, today, before we start this episode of Arab Affairs Show, and before we have this call with you, we have been following the press conference that just took place between the Foreign Minister, Dr. Badr Abdel-Ati, and also the Prime Minister and Foreign Minister of Palestine, where they were talking about the Palestinian cause and also the preparations for the emergency Arab Summit that will take place very soon. And one of the issues they tackled was the resources of fund in order to put the reconstruction plan into action. What are your anticipations in this regard? How do you think this plan would be put into action, and the funding process? What are your anticipations in this aspect in particular?
This is really a very practical move in order to stop any aggression against Palestine or ideas to make our Palestinian people migrants. And our diplomacy is very active nowadays, especially Badr Abdel-Ati is doing his best. Our president is every day, every hour, he's receiving phone calls or calling his counterparts or receiving foreign guests in order to allocate all the possibility to support the Palestinians. Now we are coming to a practical step, which is that Egypt will enter there in Gaza in order to start rebuilding the sector. And then we are, during the Arab Summit in a couple of days to come, they will tell us how and who will finance this way of this project of rebuilding Gaza. And I am quite sure that this will lead us to support the Palestinians the way we want.
Yes, and of course, one of the points that was mentioned in this press conference is also not only the participation of Arab countries, but also the civil society, the civilians. How do you think the civil society could participate in putting this plan into action?
Yes, very good, because of course our civil society is receiving our Palestinian guests. We have thousands of Palestinians living around us. We have also a lot of marriages between Egyptian and Palestinian, whether
yes.
men or women. And so they are most welcome in Egypt as if it is their own country. But we shall not allow a sort of absolute migration from Palestine to Egypt. No, this is not allowed, and we shall continue to support Palestine by all means. This is happening since 2,000 years before Christ. All the time, we never hesitate to help the Palestinian by all means.
Yes. Also, Mr. Ambassador, on another side that also I would like to cover with you in this phone call is what's been going on in the West Bank, the continuous attacks and violence that we've been witnessing, and also the recent statements that came out from the American administration that there are no decisions made regarding the leadership or the governance of the West Bank. How do you comment on this statement and the leadership in Gaza and the leadership especially in the West Bank and the decisions that are awaited as mentioned by the American administration? How do you follow this vision that came out from the United States?
They are bluffing, but it's well known that PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization, is well recognized by the Arab League and all the Arab countries. So we have a leadership in the Western Bank. But the problem is in Gaza, where Hamas really was not elected and they just took the power. And although we are helping them, I do not agree that they every now and then, without consulting anybody, they start such a silly war. So we have this failure on our stand, like exactly the position in Lebanon, where the Lebanese central government is not leading its south border with Israel, and Hezbollah was taking power there. So let us wait and see, but I am sure that the Palestinian leadership can prove itself as the real leader of the Palestinian people.
Yes, of course, and definitely one of the main points that when we talk about the Palestinian cause, we cannot separate it from the confrontations and the division of opinions inside Israel itself and inside the parliament. How do you think this division of opinions and the disappearance of unity between the Israeli figures could contribute in, if I can say, more positive outcomes in the process of negotiations? Do you have such expectations in this regard with the disagreements between the Israeli parliament?
Why? Once we asked Shimon Peres about this, he said, we are a country of 72 different nationalities. They talk 55 languages. And of course they choose the Hebrew in order to have a common language. But they are not really a common race or a common people. Like if you say I am from the Saudi Arabia or from Egypt, then you have harmony between one citizen and another. No, they are 72 different countries came to occupy this land, and they do not talk even the same language. And this is what you are seeing now, that we have a rightist government, but whatever it is right or left, this is not annoying me. What is annoying me is that they are ignorant. They do not know what is international law. They do not know what is government means. This is the problem really we are facing. But
of course,
standing in our land, supporting the Palestinians, this will lead us at the end to a final victory for Palestine.
Of course. I would like to thank you so much, Mr. Ambassador Gamal Baioumy, former Assistant Foreign Minister, for all these details. Thank you so much.